My name is Patrick Sim. In the late summer of 2010, I fulfilled a long-held ambition of journeying from Iceland to Venice, travelling solely by land and sea. I would often wonder what would be seen and whom one would meet travelling between the North Atlantic and Venice on the Adriatic. Photography appealed as the ideal medium for recording and communicating the experience. The in-the-moment spirit of photography suited the haphazard and serendipitous nature of travel, but it is also double-edged, requiring the wandering eye to be actively inspired and alive to the possibilities of often fleeting moments. I had decided to accomplish the outward leg to Iceland and the return from Venice without flying, and having lived part of my life in Yorkshire, I began the journey in the Pennine mill town of Halifax, a place almost totally unlike the destination of Venice. A surprising dividend of travel is the insight it can provide into your own country, and the route took me through England's northeast, a region in which my own experience was limited. It boasts magnets like the city of York, but equally important is the stunning and varied landscapes and the industrial heritage which bore cities like Middlesbrough and Hartlepool. Visiting Whitby and walking the Cleveland Way provided an opportunity to explore the British enchantment with the seaside. Looking beyond the sandcastles, fun fairs and rock pools, it is a place of reassurance and solace, one that appeals to solitude as well as the happy masses. Travelling often involves luck. In my case, it was a fortune to be allowed to join the Norwegian sailing ship Sørlandet after a crew member dropped out. I rendezvoused with the beautiful white vessel at the Hartlepool Tall Ships Festival, mingling with crews from all points of the compass, and over 4 surprisingly sunny days I worked as part of the crew, heaving rigging, standing watch, and steering the ship as we made our way across the North Sea to Norway. At the Danish port of Hansø, I caught the ferry to the Faroe Islands, carrying us past the rocky outcrops of Outstack and Muckle the most northerly points of Britain. Travelling around the Faroe Islands and Iceland gave me an insight into these 2 small North Atlantic societies. The green archipelago of the Faroes extends over 100 kilometres, with a small populace which makes the place feel rather like a town than an aspiring island nation. Remote and volcanic Iceland, a nation in its own right, functions like a frontier province with a tremendous sense of solidarity. Like nearly everywhere else on my journey, I found myself fascinated by the people and the almost universal benevolence I encountered. Deliberately travelling lesser-known routes, in northeast Germany I observed some of the work that is still underway to modernise the ex-communist regions, 2 decades after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And in one glorious day in Slovenia, I travelled along the impressive Soča Valley, marvelling at the karst landscape and learning about the horrific World War I mountain campaigns that paralleled the scale and misery of the Western trenches. The timing of the journey enabled me to visit the Italian town of Marastica. Every 2 years, its citizens stage a lavish game of human chess, with stunning Renaissance costumes parading on a gigantic chessboard that is a city piazza. As much through accident as design did circumstances and spectacles present themselves to the camera. A favourite photo is from a cobbler's shop in the South Tyrol. After rather brazenly asking to come inside, the scene seemed to create itself as we conversed about their business. And at the channel port of Dieppe, I arrived by chance during the annual Kite Festival, which turned out to be a fascinating photographic playground, at turns fantastic and surreal. After returning to the UK, my satisfaction with the captured images was tinged by the question of what useful purpose could they be put to. Then, during a trip to the Far East, I discovered that many people thirsted for knowledge of the world beyond their borders. Many media sources, particularly those of a commercial nature, give a rather stilted view of life in Europe, often failing to convey the diversity of its societies and traditions. In my discussions with students and ordinary people, these photo images help them to visualize our lives on the other side of the planet. Though outwardly we appear very different, eat strange foods and inhabit places others can only imagine, my hope is that these photographs illuminate the common truisms that apply to all people, the importance of friend and kinship, the appeal of nature and our part in a wider society. I believe the purpose of all artistic endeavour is to enable us to better understand what we can ultimately never really know. In other words, to make us wiser. Though it was sometimes touch and go, and at times uncomfortable, in sum, the journey was nothing less than empowering and enlightening, and if I returned with anything, it was a renewed faith in human goodwill. Thank you.